So I've recently moved back to New York after spending 4 years in Sierra Leone, and yeah, um, yeah, I just kind of wanted to start, I don't know, keeping log of the experience of being back, and also try to process what happened in Sierra Leone because that was definitely an experience in itself. I've been back for almost 3 weeks, and I started school at Columbia, and I'm studying journalism. I'm living in the basement with my brother in our apartment in Harlem. We don't have a kitchen. I have a bed, but I hardly sleep in it. I spend most of my time on the sofa right here. This is like my home. Yeah, I really can't believe that I'm back in New York. It's surreal because I think maybe 2 years ago when I was in Sierra Leone, if you had told me that I'd be back here right now, I probably would have laughed in your face, because the economy in the US was so bad. And I really thought that I mean, if I came to America, what would I do? Americans can't get a job. How could I get a job? So, but I'm back and I'm in school, and I'm actually really, really loving it. It's good to be back in an academic atmosphere with people who are like, you know, after intellectual pursuits and are interested in discourse, and to just learn. Like, it's just, I miss sitting in a classroom and having somebody who knows a lot more than I do talk to me about something that I'm interested in, and then like have a moment, during the day when you're like, wow, I didn't know that. So it's a really good experience. And a funny thing happened to me today. I went to buy a sandwich. I'm not fasting today because I'm on my period. When you're on your period, if you're a Muslim, you're not allowed for you to fast. So even though I was fasting for the past 2 weeks, I haven't been fasting the past couple days. So I'll start again once my period stops. But anyways, so I went to buy a sandwich. It's probably the first time I bought anything on campus. And I ordered a vegetable sandwich with like provolone cheese. And after I'd ordered it, the guy said, "Oh, do you want some extra toppings?" And I didn't understand what he meant. I'm like, "What do you mean extra toppings?" I already like looked up there, and you mean more than what's up there? You want to give me more? I'm like, these people. So I'm like, oh, this is so funny because in Sierra Leone, like, they buy something then they give you extra toppings. Now, waiting there, now they buy. I mean, yeah, I'm extra when I go to the restaurant, but generally, waiting there. So it's like in my head, it just really boggled my mind that I could have additional stuff to what was already being offered. So I was just like, wow, America is so great. Look, I buy my sandwich and now they want to put more. And I was like, no, I don't want anything extra. Anyway, so that was kind of funny. The other thing that's also been really shocking since I moved back is shorts. The shorts are just really, really short. I mean, whether it's older women, men, young women, it's just like the length of the shorts, it's just really, really short. And I'm just like, I don't know if na so the shorts and be always day or na shorts and non-shorts because the economy is so bad, man, they're not able to afford the one old trusses. But really, seriously, like the trusses, I mean, the thing just short, and I find myself just staring at people's like crotch all day because it boggles my mind. Like, yeah. So that's another thing that that's been on my mind, the shorts. I mean, everybody knows I'm no stranger to wearing short stuff, but wow, yeah, some real booty shorts. Anyway, so it's been interesting, and a lot of people have been asking me if I miss Sierra Leone, and the reality is I don't really miss Sierra Leone yet. I'm sure that when the winter comes and it's really, really It's really cold. I'll start to miss Sierra Leone. But right now, because I'm in school and I'm doing exactly what I want to do and I'm really, really focused, I don't really miss it very much. I don't miss it at all. Um, it's not, since I've been here, it's been 3 weeks, there's nothing has come from like, oh my God, I really miss Sierra Leone. It's not happened. I don't miss Sierra Leone. And, I mean, I know I'm like Miss Sierra Leone and whatever, whatever, but I really just don't miss it. I think that when I left, I was really frustrated, and there was so much going on all at once, and I feel it was really overwhelming for me. So right now, I just feel I feel a sense of peace that I can just, all I have to worry about is school. I don't have to worry about whether the generator is working, to put fuel in the generator for me motocar, if it's going to be able to go up my hill. I'm mostly don't come, we don't make the hill so bad, we must not go able to go up. Waiting the app in a Wilkinson Road, I go able to take Wilkinson Road, or I get for go around at Longley Beach. Where you go, just everything, like, is the bank, the network. I mean, I bank with EcoBank, and Lord knows, the past couple of weeks there, they were having some really difficult times. Anytime we go there, the system, they upgrade this, that. I mean, just not having to deal with any of that all I have to do is to wake up in the morning and go to class and do my assignments is amazing. Like, I feel so free, and I feel really blessed and thankful that I have this opportunity to actually be able to leave Sierra Leone and come back here and follow my dream and do exactly what I want to do, because I know that there are so many Sierra Leoneans out there in Sierra Leone who, they don't have that opportunity. So I feel really blessed, and I am so thankful that I can come, because Sierra Leone was just, it really was I don't want to say it was killing my spirit, but it was becoming a little disappointing and a little redundant. And you want to live somewhere where from time to time you hear positive stories of what people are doing, and they were just becoming harder to find, and yeah, it's hard to live in a place like that. You have to be really, really strong-minded, and you have to be really positive all the time, like an inner positivity, just be an optimistic person. And I like to think I'm optimistic, but like, I think it was time for me to leave, and in the near future, hopefully I can go back and then be able to appreciate it again. But right now, I am glad to be out. I'm really, really glad. And yeah, man, Sierra Leone was it was the journey of a lifetime. I mean, the kind of stuff that have happened there, it's not the kind of stuff that nobody can prepare you for the kind of things that will happen in Sierra Leone. Like, there's nothing. I mean, I really encourage anybody who's kind of, if you're between the ages of 18 and 25, and you're finished perhaps with your undergrad, and you're looking to just kind of get another experience, I would definitely recommend going to Sierra Leone, or going back to your country if you're not from Sierra Leone, you happen to be from Ghana, Nigeria, Senegal, wherever. Because, I mean, I don't know about those places specifically, but I know that there's something very unique about moving back home and getting that experience. And I mean, the kind of thing that we don't happen to me in a salon, I like they not seen, not done, nobody not go able to tell you, explain to you that kind of situation. Like, not seen, nothing prepares you for that. So yeah, no, it's just been, it was a phenomenal experience, priceless. I got to go to Sierra Leone at a time when I would say it's a really crucial time in Sierra Leone's history. The elections were going to happen in 2007, and was really able to kind of follow President Koroma's presidency, and this change, we all thought change was going to come, etc., etc., etc. And some really good things have happened. I mean, in the time that I spent in Sierra Leone, I can say that each year I felt like things were getting better. Even though the economy, I mean, the average Sierra Leonean person, one thing I was listening to the radio one time on, I don't remember if na DJ Bass, or like Voice of the Handicapped, and they talk about how one man calling, they say how first in a salon, you could give 10,000 leons to feed your family. Now when you give 10,000 leons, it's almost like you want to start a fight with your wife, because 10,000 is not they feed family anymore. I know they do. And I felt that personally, because even my own house in Bananawata, now 10,000 euros that they use for cooking initially, but then by the time I left, it's like 15, 20,000. And we're like a rather large, it's a large family. It's not a family, your regular family of four. So things in Sierra Leone are really, really difficult on the micro level, but I think on the macro level, perhaps, different things are happening that have made the country kind of seem like things are better. Of course, electricity is always like a major thing, because me remember why being Fosco Salon 2007. I mean, it puts petrol in my generator every night, to a point now where right before I left, 2011, maybe once or twice a week we go put generator, or even if we put it on every day, now 1 to 3 hours per day, then later on in the day lights go come. So it's like things are changing for the better, but the average Sierra Leonean person just still has very, very little opportunities. Young people don't have enough opportunities to kind of develop and grow, I don't even want to say live out your dream, because that's even so far. To even discover what their dream is, what their passions are, for them to be able to then eventually get to a point to say, okay, fine, I'm living my dream. Like, they're not even able to reach a point where they're able to get to dream, because you don't know what that is. Like, you can't think, you don't understand what it's like to not have hope and to not believe that things will change. So there are lots of young people like that in Sierra Leone, young women, young men, who just, they can't imagine a different life, so they kind of shortchange themselves, and I spent a lot of time in Ghana, and what really, really depresses me about that is you meet so many young people in Ghana who haven't left, they haven't been overseas, etc., who are doing something positive, who are somewhat living out their dream, and they have a passion and they're following their passion, whether it's in the arts or just being small business owners, etc., entrepreneurs. It's happening, but in Sierra Leone, it's just like so little support. And I know that people have good ideas, and I know that there's so much that can be done, but there just isn't. The NGOs aren't doing it. Government isn't doing it. They want to turn all the women into hairdressers and all the men into carpenters, etc., etc. There just isn't a diversity of opportunities for people to really kind of grow. We can't. Every woman in Ceylon cannot be a hairdresser or a caterer. I mean, how can we compete on a global level if all you're raising your girls for is for them to be caterers and hairdressers? It is ridiculous. It's so kind of belittling, and it doesn't allow for for them to reach their potential. If you meet a young woman in Sierra Leone, she could be in university. There's so very few who can actually sit down and articulate themselves and express themselves and have a conversation with you. I mean, many of them are really smart, but they haven't been exposed. They haven't been kind of developed into young women who can like analyze situations and analyze things and think on their own and have their own ideas, except they just haven't had that exposure, and it's really, really unfortunate. So that's really depressing, because I mean, at the end of the day, yeah, Sierra Leone was good for me on a personal level, but I don't want to be the only person in the room who's having a good time. I don't want to be the only person who it's like the only person who things are good for, or they're like, oh, Vicky, your show is so good, your show is so nice, etc., etc. But the reality of it is that at the end of the day, even the content of my show would be much richer if I had more positive stories to tell, more young women to talk to. I mean, it's you want women, young women to be power brokers and power players, to be, to walk into a room and to be the decision maker. I mean, there are few. I mean, especially in like the banking sector, it's more common that you'd meet like young women who are in like maybe not management level, but just like lower management and like working their way up, and even on some managerial posts. So that is a bit more refreshing. But I mean, for the most part, there just are not enough opportunities for young women. And that also kind of breeds an environment of jealousy and envy, because then you see somebody who's doing well, and because you don't have that, you can only, you have to envy them, because it's like, you don't have that, and you want to understand why they have that, and it's only natural. Like, I don't even like, it's not something I look down on. It's something I empathize with, and I understand. Um, yeah, it's just Sierra Leone. You know, it will break your heart. It will break your heart into tiny, tiny, tiny pieces. And yeah, but one thing I know for sure is that I think over the next couple years we have a lot of really serious decisions to make. The government has to be really serious about doing things for young people, and I don't think they take it seriously. I think they pay lip service to it, but I don't think they take it seriously at all, at all, at all, at all, at all, at all. I don't think that the government of Sierra Leone takes young people seriously, and I don't think the government takes women seriously for that matter. It's like they find um, individual women that they will like like incorporate into the system. They co-opt some young people, and then those who are most vocal, you co-opt them into the system, so then their voice starts to speak, represent the government and not their constituency. But definitely, like, young people in Sierra Leone, man, the opportunities are dismal. They are dismal. And the other thing that really, really bothered me when I was in Sierra Leone, which a lot of people know this already, was simply just that the expatriate community in Sierra Leone. I mean, there are a lot of good people who've come to Sierra Leone from all over the world, who've done a lot for the country, who, they make sacrifices to be there. But not everybody who's in Sierra Leone, who's an expatriate from another country, is sacrificing to be there. A lot of them are there taking opportunities that are Sierra Leonean people's opportunities, and then they want to tell you that there are not enough qualified people. I don't believe that at all, at all, at all. I don't believe there's even, like, there are very, very few technical sectors, maybe, that you do not have enough Sierra Leoneans in the country or whatever to fill. But 95% of the time, there is a Sierra Leonean who can fill that position. However, what happens, it's like there's like an inner working expatriate community. What happens is CARE or FAO or one of the NGOs, they need an employee. What happens is they circulate the news first among the expatriates. So the British in DFID, they'll tell, word will go around, oh, so-and-so is here looking for work, Before you know it, that person has been in Sierra Leone 2-3 months, or their previous contract just ended, and in the next 2-3 months, they have another contract working for another NGO. And you'll find, as a Sierra Leonean, you can't find work, and you're like, what's going on? But the adverts are in the papers, but we're putting in our applications, but you're not getting these jobs. It's the same level of nepotism that is going on locally, that's going on in the expatriate community for these, like, non-profit NGO development jobs. The same thing is going on, but only it's like they're doing it within themselves. And it's one of those things that, it really bothers me, because I'm like, and then they want you to be like, you must feel some kind of like a appreciation for them because they have left their country to come to Sierra Leone and help us develop. You did not leave your country to come and help Sierra Leone do anything. You came to Sierra Leone because you're looking for opportunity, because you have limited opportunities in your own country, and that's just the reality. A lot of the expatriates in Sierra Leone, the quality of life they're living in Sierra Leone is better than the quality of life they have in their own country, because in their country, they can't afford to live that way. And that's just the reality. And Sierra Leoneans need to wake up, because it's like, I mean, the government's supposed to have legislation that protects locals. I mean, I think there's something that says somewhere in our labor laws or whatever that if a company must first look in Sierra Leone or look for locals to fill a position before they bring somebody else in to do that job. But how do they monitor that process? How do they know that somebody has not brought? They don't know. It's like all very arbitrary. But then they pay the lip service. They will say, oh yes, we have this clause that protects it. It doesn't protect anybody. Nobody is protected. There's so many things that are going on in Sierra Leone, corner business. Nobody knows what's going on in the country. It's just total lawlessness. And you have a lot of people who come into the country who just are taking stuff out, taking opportunities within the country, and kind of just even before I'm even more on this issue is the how the expatriate community kind of reinforces already existing kind of social cultural, negative social cultural norms in Sierra Leone. For example, I had a conversation with some guy from the UK. He's a journalist. I won't say his name, who's living in Sierra Leone. And I brought up the issue of kind of Lebanese dominance of trade and commerce in Sierra Leone. And I was like, you know, I think that's a good story for you to explore. And he was like, and I was like, you need to find out why. And he was like, well, maybe Lebanese people just run better businesses. That's why they own all the businesses. And I was like, well, even if that is so, which I disagree, you should go and investigate. And he was like, well, you know, well, aren't all the best hotels and restaurants in Sierra Leone, aren't they all owned by the Lebanese? And I'm like, yes, but aren't you curious to find out why that is so? Why is it that a minority group in a country like Sierra Leone are so empowered, and they are so economically empowered, maybe if not politically, economically empowered? You should look at that. And also, if you're an expatriate, you come to Sierra Leone, you're working towards Sierra Leone's development, but then when you spend your money, you only spend it at Lebanese-owned establishments, etc., etc., you're reinforcing the problem. I'm not saying that people shouldn't go to Lebanese, but that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that sometimes these people who come into Sierra Leone trying to help, that they don't see how they are part or supporting already existing systems, whether they be systems of oppression or otherwise. It's just that they don't think about that. You know what I mean? They're just kind of living their shishi fafa life, going to Franco's and going to number 2 and going to Lovely Beach and enjoying themselves, going to Atlantic. Enjoying yourself is fine. Enjoying yourself is fine. That's what we're all doing in Sierra Leone. But the reality is, I guess my thing is, not everybody, I mean, it's about talking to young Sierra Leoneans, and just not everybody who's working for an NGO or is an expatriate, etc., is a do-gooder. Not good and can do. People are just looking for opportunities. They're self-serving, you know, self-serving, just like any other group of people in the world, and like myself, self-serving. So, but I think we tend to take it for granted that we think that because when they work for NGO, that means they're not good people then, and that's not true. It may seem obvious, but to a lot of people, it's not that obvious, and you know, those are the kind of things that we need to be aware of. What else about Sierra Leone? God, just like open a can of worms. Yeah, no. I mean, there's so much. The other thing is that a lot of people living in the diaspora, they want to be engaged in Sierra Leone. They want to get involved, and they think that the best way to do that, I've seen a lot of small diaspora-based NGO startup, a lot, especially people in my generation who want to get involved, starting their own NGOs and kind of wanting to go to Sierra Leone to do work, and then so small NGOs. The reality is that I don't know if that kind of way of impacting change is effective, because it's like you're a really, really tiny micro-organization, and the reality is, in less than 3 years, if you can't secure like some significant amount of funding, it's going to like fall apart. So it's like, I guess what I'm saying is that we need to think beyond the nonprofit sector and perhaps start thinking about how can you support somebody to start a business in Sierra Leone? How can you start a business in Sierra Leone? Because if you start a business in Sierra Leone and you can provide employment for somebody in Sierra Leone, I feel like that's going to go a longer way than starting an NGO that might fold up in just a couple years. And it's so exhausting, and it just takes... It takes a lot of resources to build a successful NGO or do successful non-governmental work, that I just feel like a lot of young people's energies, those of you who are in the diaspora, would probably be better spent doing something else. I mean, I'm not saying non-profit work isn't good. I just think that everybody doesn't have to start an NGO, because it's kind of almost a trend. I see all of it on Facebook. Everybody's starting an NGO. It's good, but I think that maybe perhaps it'd be better if we were to consolidate our efforts than kind of reinventing the wheel. Because, you know, there's only so much funding for development work in Sierra Leone. And you're not going to get money before CARE does, before IRC does, before Gold, before... the 1,000,001, the over actually 300, I shouldn't say, over 300 NGOs that are in Sierra Leone. So I think that's also something to think about. Other thing is, if you're thinking of moving to Sierra Leone to live permanently, I wouldn't recommend anybody move to Sierra Leone without a master's degree. That's if your parents aren't very, very rich. If you're looking for work, I mean, I think in West Africa period, in Africa period, like there just isn't enough space. If you only have an undergraduate degree, it's not gonna cut it. Like they cannot justify paying you that salary you want if you only have a first degree. So if you're really thinking of moving to Sierra Leone long term, I would definitely recommend that you first go and get a second degree, especially if you're a young woman. If you're a woman under 35 and you want to move to Sierra Leone with a first degree, you're going to find that no matter how much you know, no matter how much work experience you have, people just won't take you seriously because you're a woman and you're young and you only have one degree. So I would say go get a second degree, both men and women actually, before you move to Sierra Leone permanently. I'm not saying just to go maybe for a couple of years to get some work experience, but like if you are like move all you and go salon, definitely if you're in like more traditional sectors, like definitely make sure if you're looking for work, get a second degree because it will serve you well. It will serve you well. What else? Relationships in Sierra Leone. I don't know. Like, I've had kind of a mixed bag of man business. The realities, most men in Sierra Leone, or most men that you'd want to date if you're from the diaspora, you might find that they're already married. And that's just the reality. And if you're really good, or if you're really lucky, you might not end up in that situation. But it's a very, very real thing in Sierra Leone. I know, I'm thinking of all my friends and all the women I know. I can't say I don't know any of us who's dated a man who wasn't already dating another woman or married to another woman. So the reality is, whether they're wife or girlfriend's in the country or not, the reality is if you're a woman and you move to Sierra Leone, more likely than not, 98% of the time, you will date a guy who's already in a relationship with somebody else, whether you know it or not, whether he tells you or not, whether he's married to them, engaged, whatever. Every woman I know in Sierra Leone, every young woman I know in Sierra Leone has been in this situation. So that's something to look out for. So ideally, move back home with your boyfriend. That's just the best way to go. Move back home with your boyfriend so you don't have to worry about that. Friendships in Sierra Leone. I mean, I've had a really interesting thing with friendships. I mean, when I went to Sierra Leone initially, my best friend and I actually had planned to move back together. We started a business together. It didn't work out. It really ruined our friendship. It's probably never going to be the same. I'm a special kind of person, as y'all can already tell. I'm a straight talker, and I like to, what I feel is what I feel. And so, I've lost some friends in Sierra Leone over different situations. But at the same time, I also made some really good friendships with people who I didn't know before, who weren't my friends initially. And I also found sisterhood in the most unlikely of places from people who I didn't really expect to bond with me. I remember last year for International Women's Day, I got a call from a lady named Adama that I had met the previous year on International Women's Day. And I'd never really spoken to her. Maybe I'd spoken to her once or something. She called me on International Women's Day to just say she just wanted to wish me a happy International Women's Day. And she respects me and she respects my work. And she thinks that I'm making a contribution. It really meant a lot to me. And so it's like it's not like we became close friends or something, but it was good to share that, and it was good to have somebody do that. And it was, I like it. I liked it, sorry. And then there is a lady called Nasu who, what's really interesting about my relationship with Nasu is that when I first met her, you hear all these rumors about people in Sierra Leone, and we're all like, you judge, you judge people. That's just what we do naturally. And what's great about that relationship is that based on what I had heard about her initially, which will happen to everybody, somebody will say something about you to somebody who will make them form an opinion about you before they meet you. And then I met her and I got to know her over like a year, and over more than a year, maybe like 2 years. And she's an amazing, amazing woman. And, I've never been to her house. She's never been to my house, but I really respect her. She's a strong, strong, amazing Sierra Leone woman. There's another woman called Millicent who, same thing, like, I thought she was a bit rigid when I first met her, but then, I got to know her a little bit better, and it was amazing. Like, she was really, really supportive. Like, somebody who supports you in the background, people who you don't see all the time, but every once in a while, they just send you one line to let you know, or you see them and they let you know that, they reaffirm you, in a really, really positive way. So, there was that as well. So I think it's the whole thing about like friendship and sisterhood. It's a 50-50 thing. Sometimes you might lose some, you might make some, but either way, it all depends on what kind of relationships you're looking for with other women. What else? I think I don't know if I'll think of anything else, but for now, on Sierra Leone, those are like the most immediate immediate issues. I know that like I'm probably going to get hated on for this, but it's just how I'm feeling, and these are my thoughts, and it's not targeting anyone in particular, so the disclaimer. And it's just Sierra Leone according to Vicky in the last 4 years, and that's what's what. So over and out.